are live. Let us begin with our auspicious invocation mantras. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Gaura Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna. So we are reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, translations and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Srimati Pashata. We are starting from text 33, right? Yes. Adi-lila Chapter 14, text 33. So we're in the middle of this pastime here where Lord Chaitanya is a little toddler. He's like 2 years old or something. And he's outside playing with his friends. And his mother, Sachi Mata, she brings a bowl of sandesh for him, some milk sweets to eat. But he doesn't eat the milk sweets. What does he eat? Dirt. He's eating dirt. So then his mother gets all upset. She comes running over. Why are you eating dirt? And then what does he say?
Both are same. Dirt and the food are both are same.
Yeah, this sweet ball that you gave me and this mud ball that I made, it's all the same. It's all just transformations of earth. So whether if I eat earth directly or if I eat some transformation of it, after all, the grass grows from the earth. It gets all of its nutrients and water and everything from the earth. So grass is nothing but earth, right? And then the cows eat the grass, so they're eating the earth. And then the body's transforming that grass into milk, and that milk you're making into sweets, and I'm eating that. And it's just a transformation of earth. So what's the problem? And then Mother Sachi says, what is the problem? So what are some of the examples that she gives?
Water pot and the dirt, lump of dirt.
Yeah, so she says the water pot. So the water pot is made out of clay, right? They use in Bengal still nowadays. They use these clay pots, just kind of like raw earthenware. Not raw, they bake them, but they're just plain clay pots. So this pot is nothing but earth. But if I go down to the well and put water in the clay pot, I can carry water home. But if I go with a lump of mud, right, or dry earth, I can't carry any water home. It would just be useless. Yeah. And she says also that if we eat grains, which come from earth, the body's nourished. If we eat the earth directly, then the body becomes diseased. So now Lord Chaitanya is going to reply. In my Atma lukaite Prabhu balila tanhare age kena ihamata nashikale more. The Lord replied to his mother, why did you conceal self-realization by not teaching me this practical philosophy in the beginning? If from the beginning of life one is taught the Vaishnava philosophy of duality or variety, the monistic philosophy will not bother him very much. In reality, everything is an emanation from the Supreme Source, Janmadyasya Yataha. The original energy is exhibited in varieties, exactly as the sunshine, the original energy emanating from the sun, exhibits itself in variety as heat, light and heat. One cannot say that light or heat, one cannot say that light is heat or that heat is light, yet one cannot separate one from the other. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy is achintya, beda, abeda, inconceivable, non-separation, and distinction. Although there is an affinity between two physical manifestations of light and heat, there is also a difference between them. Similarly, although the whole cosmic manifestation is the Lord's energy, the energy is nevertheless exhibited in varieties of manifestations. Yeah, so achintya, beda, beda tattva means that achintya means inconceivable. Beta means different, and abeda means non-different. So it means that everything is simultaneously, inconceivably the same and different. So, yeah. And he gives the example of the heat and light, right? So in the sunshine, we have heat and light. So In the one sense, the sunshine, the rays from the sun, the energy come from the sun is the same. It's one energy. It's solar energy. So we can just call it one thing. It's solar energy. But within that solar energy, there are different things, heat and light. So heat is one thing and light is another thing, and they're very different things. And they have different properties and different effects. So like that, we all come from the source. Like you could say Krishna is like the sun. So just like heat and light come from the sun, but they're all solar energy. So everything that exists comes from the source, Krishna. It all has different energies, but some energies are material energies, some energies are spiritual energies, right? So I can say, yeah, I am the soul within this body. My body is different from my soul. That's true, right? But both are Krishna's energies. So they're also the same. So they're simultaneously the same and different. And also like each other, you know how the like I think it's the Beatles that say, I am you and you are me and we are all together, come together. Right? So in a sense that there is a sense in which that's true, that I am you and you are me and we're all God. You know, there's a sense in which that's actually true because we're all God's energies. And as souls, we're all Jiva Tattva. We're all the internal potency of the Lord in the form of living entities. We're all part of, you could say, like Jiva Tattva means we are the living being energy. Right? So just like sunshine is all one thing. So the living being energy is all one thing, right? It's Jiva Tattva. But then there are so many different jivas. Every soul, every little living being is different from every other living being. And we have our eternal individuality. So there's a sense in which we're the same, and there's a sense in which we're different. And Prabhupada called this unity in diversity. Unity in diversity. So it's important to understand. So Lord Chaitanya is saying, Mother, you should have taught me this sooner. I could have spared my teeth. Grinding away on eating dirt. So Prabhupada is saying that, yeah, from the very beginning of life, we should teach this philosophy to our children. Like, yeah, like since the time my daughters were very small, I was like, okay, Krishna is God and we are his servants. Krishna is great and we are small and he knows everything and we have a little bit of knowledge, but not as much as he does. And we need his mercy and we can pray to him for realization. Anyways, to understand that I'm an eternal being, God is also an eternal being. I'm a conscious being, God is also a conscious being. But God is the source of all of the other conscious eternal beings, and he's maintaining them and protecting them and delivering those who surrender to him. So then there's no, like Prabhupada says here, that if children are taught this, then later, even if they encounter, Mayavad philosophy or this impersonalism, they're not at all attracted or deviated or confused, because it's like the understanding is very clear. And they can also understand that, people who think that way, it's like, okay, at least they have some spiritual understanding, right? They don't reject them. They can actually respect them, that, well, at least they understand that we're not just lumps of matter. Impersonalists and Mayavadis, at least they understand that we're souls and that we're eternal, that we're in some ways that we are very much like God. We're qualitatively the same as God. But they just don't have the full understanding that, yeah, we're qualitatively the same, but we're quantitatively much smaller. So anyways, they're kind of like beginning level understanding. So that's okay. All right. So little Nimai is going to continue speaking. Ebe sa janilan ada matina kaiba, shudalage yabe tabe tomarastana piba.
Translation. Now that I can understand this philosophy, no more shall I eat that. Whenever I'm hungry, I shall suck your breast and drink your breast milk. He's very naughty.
Ittabali jananira kolete chadia, dhanapana kare prabhu ishabhasiya.
After saying this, the Lord, smiling slightly, climbed on the lap of his mother and sucked her breast.
Ande nana chale aishwarya dekhaya, Balya bhava prakritiya paschata lukaya.
Thus, under various excuses, the Lord exhibited his opulences as much as possible in his childhood, and later, after exhibiting such opulences, he hid himself. Titi viprera anna khalati na bara, pache gupte sei vipre karila nishtara.
On one occasion, the Lord ate the food of a Brahmana guest 3 times, and later, in confidence, the Lord delivered that Brahmana from material engagement. Purport: the story of the deliverance of this Brahmana is as follows. A Brahmana who was touring all over the country, traveling from one place of pilgrimage to another, reached Navdeep and became a guest in the house of Jagannath Mishra. Jagannath Mishra gave him all ingredients for cooking, and the Brahmana prepared his food. When the Brahmana was offering the food to Lord Vishnu in meditation, child Nimai came before him and began to eat it. And because of this, the Brahmana thought the whole offering had been spoiled. Therefore, by the request of Jagannath Mishra, he cooked for a second time. But when he was meditating, the child again came before him and began to eat the food, again spoiling the offering. By the request of Jagannath Mishra, the Brahmana cooked for a third time, but for a third time, the Lord came before him and began to eat the food. Although the child had been locked within a room and everyone was sleeping because it was late at night. Thus, thinking that on that day Lord Vishnu was not willing to accept his food and that he was therefore ordained to fast, the Brahmana became greatly agitated and cried aloud, "Hi, hi, what has been done? What has been done?" When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the Brahmana in that agitated state, he told him, "Formerly I was the son of Mother Yashoda. At that time also you became a guest in the house of Nand Maharaj, and I disturbed you and I disturbed you in this way. I am very much pleased by your devotion. Therefore, I am eating the food you have prepared." Understanding the favor offered to him by the Lord, the Brahmana was greatly pleased and he was overwhelmed with love of Krishna. He was thankful to the Lord for he felt himself greatly fortunate. Then the Lord asked the Brahmana not to disclose the incident to anyone else. This pastime is very elaborately explained in the Chaitanya Bhagavat Adi-lila Chapter 5.
Yeah, my younger daughter, when she was in third grade, she was in a drama where they acted out this pastime in Mayapur. Yeah, that's really sweet. I mean, just imagine, like, so in those days, the Brahmins they would, they would like walk, they would wander. They would go from door to door, village to village, and um, they would stay in the house of other Brahmins, and they would have their deity, like a Shalagam Shila, a small deity, and they would serve their deity. So the culture was that you would receive a Brahmin at your home, and it was understood that the Brahmin would probably have his deity, because that's one of the things, the duties of the Brahmin is to worship the deity. And so they had to cook something. So then the Brahmin, because he would generally cook for his own himself for the deity. So then the householders where he was staying, they would provide him with the food. They'd say, "Oh, here's the vegetables, rice, whatever you need. You just go ahead and you worship your deity by cooking for him." So, so he took all the ingredients for cooking, and they gave him the kitchen, and he was cooking, and then he went to do the offering, and then he puts it there, and he rings the bell, right? Like we ring the bell, we do the offering, and as soon as he started ringing the bell, little Nimai came and ate everything. He started eating it. So the Brahmin was like paying his obeisances, and he heard some commotion. He looked up and he was like, "Oh no, this little baby has like spoiled everything." So now the food is no longer offerable because it's been like touched, and chewed on. So then he has to just put all that aside and wash everything and cook again. So then Jagannath Mishra felt he was very upset. He was very distressed that there's this disturbance in the worship of his guests, because the guests were treated with a lot of respect. Like the Brahmin that came to your house was worshipped, was respected like God practically. So Jagannath Mishra, Lord Chaitanya's Nimai's father was mortified, and he was just like, Nimai, this was a really bad thing that you did. You go to your room and stay there. So then he went to he got put in his room, and then the Brahmin cooked again, did the offering again, ring the bell again, and again, oh no, this boy came again. So then it was getting late. Anyways, he thought, it was determined. Jagannath Mishra said, don't worry. I'm going to lock that boy up. I'm going to put him to bed. I'm going to stay in the room with him to make sure that he doesn't appear. And you are going to be able to worship your deity. You're going to take prasad. You're going to be happy in my home. So then he did that. He put him in the room. He lied down on the bed with him. Mother, father were both there. The door was totally locked from inside. He even posted some household servant outside the door to make sure that there was nothing funny going on. And so then it's like practically midnight, and he rings the bell. And in the time that it took the Brahmin to cook, Jagannath Mishra, Nimai's parents fell asleep. And anyways, Nimai is God, so he can do anything. He doesn't. A locked door is no impediment to him. So he just appeared there and just started eating the offering again. And then he's like, hi, what is going on? And then at that time, actually, little Nimai, he revealed his form as Krishna. He revealed his form, this bluish complexion, yellow dhoti, playing the flute, peacock feather, everything. And he said that I am the same son of Mother Yashoda. I am the same person. Oh yeah, the Brahmin. He said, you keep calling me to come eat, and I keep coming to eat, and you're getting angry. I don't understand you. Because the deity is Krishna. And it's like you're trying to offer food to Krishna. Well, here I am, Krishna, but whenever I come eat your food, whenever I try to accept your offering, you get upset with me. It doesn't make any sense. What's wrong with you? And then he was playing with the Brahmin, and then the Brahmin, he paid his obeisances, full dandavats to the Lord. So happy, your mercy. But then Krishna, Nimai, showing his Krishna form, said, don't tell anyone this happened. So yeah, in the last verse it says that sometimes he exhibited his opulences and sometimes he hid himself. So, for example, the snake came in and he lied down on the snake, and the snake didn't bite him. It was a nice bed. So that was like his powers, right? And then after that, he just went inside and, his mother fed him. Or then, he's pretending to be an ignorant child eating dirt and just like sitting on his mother's lap and taking breast milk from her. And then the next moment, he's like, manifesting his Krishna form to the Brahman. So constantly like acting like an ordinary child and then showing some godly power, and then acting like an ordinary child and then showing some godly power. And everybody's just like, who is this little boy? Okay. Text 38. Dore lana gela prabhu ke bahire paiya, tara skande chariyala tare gulaila. Nikash?
In his childhood, the Lord was taken away by two thieves outside his home. The Lord, however, got up on the shoulders of the thieves, and while they were thinking they were safely carrying the child to rob his ornaments, the Lord misled them, and thus instead of going to their own home, the thieves came back to the home of Jagannath Mishra. Purport. In his childhood, the Lord was profusely decorated with gold ornaments. Once upon a time, when the Lord was playing outside his house, two thieves passing on the street saw the opportunity to rob him. Therefore, they took him on their shoulders, pleasing him by offering him some sweetmeats. The thieves thought they would carry the child to the forest and then kill him and take away the ornaments. The Lord, however, expended the illusory energy upon the thieves, so much so that instead of carrying him to the forest, they came right back in front of his house. When they came before his house, they became afraid because everyone from the house of Jagannath Mishra and all the inhabitants of the quarter were busy searching for the child. Therefore, the thieves, thinking it dangerous to remain, went away and left him. The child was brought within the house and given to Mother Sati. was in great anxiety and she became satisfied. This incident is also very elaborately explained in the Adi-kanda of Chaitanya Bhagavat, 3rd chapter.
Kidnapping, the kidnappers came. This is an old profession. So yeah, these two guys came and they saw him with wearing a lot of expensive jewelry, and they got some sweets, and they're like, "Hey, little boy, we've got some candies. Come here." And then he takes the candies. "Oh, you're so cute and so sweet. We want to give you more sweets. We have a lot more at home. Come with us." And then, he agrees to go out. So they're carrying him on their shoulders. And then they're like, "All right, we're gonna go and we're gonna kill this kid and take the jewelry." But then the thing is that, again, Nimai is the supreme person. He's the Lord. So he's also within the hearts of everyone. So there's an expansion of Krishna that's called the super soul, the Paramatma, that's situated within the heart of all living beings. And that Lord within the heart directs us, is directing us, right? Whenever we get that feeling like, oh, I should go here, or I should leave now, or, we get that gut feeling, that internal compass that's telling us how to navigate the world. That's coming from the Paramatma, from the super soul, from the Lord in the heart. So they're running to try to find some good, secluded place, some nice thick bushes or something in the forest to kill him where no one would see. But the Lord within the heart was directing them, "Oh, go a little more, walk a little more, turn this way, go there. Oh, look over there, there's a nice thick bush. And go that way, and then, oh, there's a better one there." So they're like kind of like being internally guided by the Lord, and then they end up right back in Nimai's front yard. So in the meantime, Jagan and Misha, they're looking all over for him. "Oh my God, where's the child?" Mother thought she was crying and everything. So when Jagan and Misha saw the men carrying him on their shoulder, and Nimai was smiling. He was so happy. He wasn't at all afraid, because he's like the supreme controller. So why does he have to be afraid of anything? He's like happy, enjoying the ride, going for a nice tour through the forest in the shoulder of these strong men. And he's like, "Oh, this is good," and exploring the forest. And then so he sees his father and he's smiling, and Jagannath Misha doesn't suspect anything. He's like, "Oh, to reward you, please come in and please let us, honor you and feed you and, this." But the thieves were like, "Oh my God, he's gonna," so they just put him down and ran off quick. And then Jagannath Misha was disappointed. He's like, "Oh, I didn't even get a chance to say thank you for bringing our son now." So these are Nimai's pastimes. Okay, 39. Yadhi Shave Jagadisha Hiranya Sadane Vishnu Naivedya Kaila Ekadashi Line. Arjuna?
Yes, 39, right?
Yep.
Pretending to be sick, the Lord asked some food from the house of Hiranya in Jagadish on the Ekadashi day. Purport. The Chaitanya Bhagavat Adi-kanda Chapter 6 fully describes the Lord's accepting Vishnu Prasadam on the Ekadashi day at the house of Jagadish in Hiranya. Regular prasadam is offered to Lord Vishnu on Ekadashi because although fasting is recommended for devotees on Ekadashi, it is not recommended for Lord Vishnu. Once on Ekadashi in the house of Jagadish and Hiranya Pandit, there were arrangements for preparing special prasadam for Lord Vishnu, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked his father to go there to ask for the Vishnu prasadam because he was feeling sick. The house of Jagadish and Hiranya Pandit was situated about 2 miles from the house of Jagannath Mishra. Therefore, when Jagannath Mishra, on the request of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, came to ask Jagadish and Hiranya for the prasadam, they were a little astonished. How could the boy understand that special prasadam was being prepared for Lord Vishnu? They immediately concluded that Nimai must have supernatural mystic power. Otherwise, how could he understand that they were preparing special prasadam? Therefore, they immediately sent the food to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through his father, Jagannath Mishra. Nimai was feeling sick, but immediately after eating the Vishnu prasadam, he was cured, and he also distributed the prasadam among his playmates.
And so, yeah, this is a similar pastime, right? That Lord Chaitanya he knew some 2 miles away are cooking a big meal, a special meal to offer to the deity. And he was like, and just like he was with the Brahmin, he was going and eating the food offered to the deity. But this was already offered. So anyway, so yeah, and another point here is about Ekadasi. So Ekadasi is a day that comes. Don't eat grains, right? You don't eat any grains or legumes, any kind of beans or dal or anything. Eat other things. So it's like a fasting, a partial fasting day. And some people do a total fast, like they don't eat anything, or some people eat only fruits, and some people drink only water. Some people don't even take water. So yeah, my daughters are very strict on Ekadasi. They don't take even water all day. They drink every Ekadasi. They're like next level. Anyways, but that's not necessary, but at least don't eat grains or beans. So then at Lord Chaitanya's own house, his mother and father would be observing Ekadasi. But Prabhupada makes a point here that Ekadasi fasting is for devotees, but the Lord doesn't have to do the fast because he's God, you know. Because the whole point is that the idea is that sin personified enters into the grains on Ekadasi. So then when you eat grains on Ekadasi, then you're like eating like, you know, sin contaminated food. Contaminated by sin. As soon as anything touches sin, it becomes purified. So many temples on Ekadasi, they offer full grain offerings to the Lord, and they just keep it aside, and then the devotees won't eat the Mahaprasad, they'll eat it the next day. But here, Radhikala Chandji is very merciful. So the cooks cook all Ekadasi prasadam so that we can take the Mahaprasad even on Ekadasi. So the Lord also fasts with us. So yeah, it's also showing here the power of prasadam. That Lord Chaitanya, he was enacting this pastime of being sick. He said, please give me the Mahaprasadam of the Lord, and I think that will cure me. So, and that happened. And then we were just talking yesterday about our friend Jagadish, how he was like so skinny and so sickly. And then, and he was like on a special diet, eating like, you know, all kinds of supplements and superfoods and health foods and whole foods, and you know, everything was just like, but he wasn't offering it because he didn't know how to offer food to Krishna yet. So he was just cooking all these very healthy superfoods and eating them. But he wasn't getting better. He was just getting sick. And then he went to Gainesville, and the devotees told him, you know what? Why don't you just take prasadam and see what happens? And so he was like, okay, let me just try it. You know, I've been doing this health food thing for a while, and it's not like helping me. So let me just take it. And as soon as he started taking prasadam, he started getting better, even though that prasadam was not even so healthy. But it was prasadam. It was like food offered to Krishna. So it was purifying, and it basically cured him of whatever it was that was causing him to be so sickly. And, he got better, and he gained weight, and he gained strength, and became such a nice devotee, and very fired up. So prasadam ki jai. Okay, text 40. Shishu Saba Laye Pada Pada Shira Dhare Shuri Kai Dravya Kaya Mare Bala Kere. Just reading back to me. Or Aruna, I'm assuming that you're not going to be able to read, right? Yeah, I think that's the correct assumption. So, as usual for small children, he learned to play. And with his playmates, he went to the houses of neighboring friends, stealing their eatables and eating them. Sometimes the children fought among themselves. So this is another example where he's being an ordinary child again. He's playing with his friends. They're getting into arguments, a little fight. And he's reenacting the pastimes of Krishna, going to the neighbors' houses and stealing food and eating it. So it's pastimes. Shishu Sava Shachi Stane Kaiva Nivedana Shuni Shachi Putre Kichu Lila Olahana.
Translation. All the children lodged complaints with the Prithvi Mata about the lords fighting with them and stealing from the neighbors' houses. Therefore, sometimes she used to chastise and rebuke her son.
Imagine you're the mother of God and you have to chastise him.
Like a Foda.
Right? Yeah. Kene churi kara kena mara shishure. Kene para garaya kiba nahi gare.
Caritamrita said, why do you steal others' things? Why do you beat the other children? And why do you go inside others' houses? What do you not have in your own house? Purport. According to the Vedanta Sutra, Dhamadi Asya Yata, since creation, maintenance, and annihilation exist in the Supreme Absolute, whatever we find within this material world is already in the spiritual world. Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna himself. How is he stealing and how is he fighting? He steals as not because he is in want, but out of a natural instinct. In this material world also, small children without enmity or bad will sometimes go to a neighboring house and steal, and sometimes they fight. Krishna also, like other children, did all these things in his childhood. Without the existence of the stealing propensity and fighting propensity in the spiritual world, they cannot exist here in this material world. The difference between the material and spiritual worlds is that stealing in the spiritual world is done in friendship and love, whereas fighting and stealing within this material world are executed on the basis of enmity and envy. Therefore, we should understand that in the spiritual world, all these activities exist. There is no inebriety, whereas in the material world, all activities are full of miserable conditions.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is Krishna in his Vrindavan childhood pastimes. He would also go to the neighbors' houses and steal butter and yogurt. And the ladies, the housewives who were there, they would get upset, ostensibly upset. They would pretend to be upset, and they would go to his Mother Yashoda, and they would complain, your son Krishna, he keeps coming, and he steals the butter, and he steals the yogurt, and he stands there and eats it, and he spills it on the floor, and he makes a big mess. And then Mother Yashoda would be like, Krishna, come here, I'm gonna chastise you. And then she would like raise her hand, and then the ladies would be like, no, don't punish him. And then and actually the only reason that Krishna was going to their houses to steal things was just to have that loving exchange, and they were all secretly, even though they would complain about it, but secretly they were looking forward to Krishna coming, because then they could see him, they could have some interaction with way to Sridhar, right? Later, when Lord Chaitanya got older, we'll probably read about it. When he was like a teenager, he would go and steal bananas from this banana seller. He had the street cart where he would sell the bananas and banana leaves. And Lord Chaitanya would go and steal his bananas every day, and he would, what are you doing? Get back here, you rascal, and all that. But then later, when Kolovich Sridhar, when Lord Chaitanya was exhibiting that he's actually God, and then he's asking everyone for a benediction, he said, Kolovich Sridhar, ask me a benediction. And then Kolovich Sridhar said, I don't need anything. I don't want anything from you. All I want is that you keep coming every day to my banana stall, and you keep stealing my bananas. Because then I get to see you every day. So, yeah, this is like Prabhupada says that the Lord is not a thief like an enemy, but he's actually a friend in a loving condition. He feels out of a loving exchange with his devotee. So, and also, sometimes with his friends, they wrestle and they fight. They do like mock fights, but it's all loving. Okay. Juni Krudahana Prabhu Garabhikarayana Garayata Bandachila Pidila Bandiya.
Thus rebuked by his mother, Lord, would go in anger to a room and break all the pots within it.
There would be something. Did you ever get like yelled at by your mother, and then you go and do something bad because you're like angry that she yelled at you? I used to do that. I used to go. My mother would yell at me when I was little and send me to my room, and my parents' room was next to my room, and I would like go to her room and I would like steal coins and things from her top of her desk. And I would just do something like try to like get some revenge. Met things in the garage. Because she would like have everything all neatly folded, you know, all of her shirts and the whatever, and out of the joint. You gotta pay for this. Text 44. Taveshachi kole kari kaila santosha, Adi-lila Prabhu jani nijya dosha.
Then Sachimata would take her son on her lap and pacify him, and the Lord would be very much ashamed admitting his faults. Purport. There is a nice description of the faults of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his childhood in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Adi-lila Chapter 3, where it is said that as a child, the Lord used to steal all kinds of eatables from the houses of neighboring friends. In some houses, he would steal milk and drink it, and in others, he would steal and eat prepared rice. Sometimes he would break cooking pots. If there were nothing to eat but there were small babies, the Lord would tease the babies and make them cry. Sometimes a neighbor would complain to Shachimata, my child is very small, but your child puts water in his ears and makes him cry.
Aste kaila mata ke tadana, vata ke puchita dekhi karai prandana. Nikesh?
Once the child Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chastised his mother with his soft hand, and his mother pretended to faint. Seeing this, the Lord began to cry.
So he was very small and he like slapped his mother and then she pretended to fall on the floor and she was lying there pretending to be unconscious.
I have a question.
But
Like, this, even in Krishna's pastime, we hear like he would do so naughty thing, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also doing like being very naughty. And if current kids, like kids in this age, if they do such things, we will be like, oh my god, this kid is so bad or so naughty. Or you know how like this is so inconceivable, like how they were all so naughty and still people loved them. Like people didn't feel
yeah.
yeah,
Well,
they
he's
were
very
all
small. He's not like, you know, a 10-year-old. He's like small. He's like still sucking milk from his mother's breast. He's like a toddler.
very small.
So how do you pray and able to other than yourself in this get right? Like you can't even get up there. I mean,
Because I mean it was like village situation where everyone's kind of like living close to each other and you know this was 500 years ago when you know it wasn't dangerous to walk down the street. I mean it kind of was. He got kidnapped once right on the sea. But people didn't like lock their doors and things, so you could just walk like a little child. You could just walk right into someone's house and help yourself to whatever's there. You know, maybe he climbs up onto the chair and onto the books on the table and you see some food there. And stuff. I mean, what Krishna used to do is he would pile things up. He would find some like wooden crates, he would pile them up and then he'd climb. Or he'd go with his friends and they would make like a human pyramid and he would climb up the, you know, on their backs and things and get high things off of shelves and things like that.
Yeah, it's still in villages of
India.
India, it's not closed.
Yeah.
Still our house is also not closed, like front door.
Mm.
Like that.
now cities they're closed.
Village, no, because everyone knows everyone. Right?
Never closed.
Yeah. Even when I was a kid, we didn't lock the door in the day. We locked it only at night. It was always like the screen, like, I mean, the winter, obviously, the door would be closed, but usually like in warm weather, we would only close the screen door and it was never locked. So anyone could walk in at any time.
Yeah, the door is just open.
I mean, even this door.
We don't use it, no, but all the time.
Yeah, only at night. We're so trusting. Anyway, so far so good. I've been here for 2.5 years and we've never had someone walk in.
Yeah.
So we didn't want. Okay. Nari gana kahe nari kela deha ani. Tave shishta haivena tomara janani. Arjuna.
The neighboring ladies told him, "Dear child, please bring a coconut from somewhere, and then your mother will be cured."
So yeah, his mother's pretending to be unconscious on the ground. He's like, oh no, my mother. And the lady see him crying. And you go get a coconut and fix her up. Bahire yana anirena duina rekela. Dekiya apurva haya vismita sakala. He then went outside the house and immediately brought 2 coconuts. All the ladies were astonished to see such wonderful activities. So they're wondering, like, where did he get these coconuts from, right? But he's the Supreme Lord, so he just manifested the coconuts, like, zing, coconuts. And then I guess they gave her coconut water and she was good. Kabu Shishu Tange Nana Karila Gangate Kanyagana Ailatahan Devata Pujite.
Translation. Sometimes the Lord would go with other children to bath in the Ganges, and the neighboring girls would also come there to worship various demigods. Purpose. According to the Vedic system, when small girls, 10, 12-year-olds, would go to the bank of the Ganges to take their bath, and they would especially worship Lord Shiva with prayers to get a good husband, Lord Shiva, because Lord Shiva is very peaceful and at the same time most powerful. Formerly, therefore, small girls in Hindu families would worship Lord Shiva, especially in the month of Vaisakha, April, May. To take a bath in the Ganges is a great pleasure for everyone, not only for adults, for all, but for children also.
Yeah, the Ganges are there. Ganges are the, it's, it's a sacred river.
Mhm.
So you bathe in the Ganges and the water is very pure and very like soft and soothing and nice. And especially like in India, it gets hot in the summer. So when I was living in Mayapur, we were living like very near the Ganges, and every day after school, like all the kids would go down and bathe in the Ganges. We would go almost every day in the hot weather because it's the only way to get cool. We didn't have like AC in the house, so after school, everybody, just all the kids, like in the last period of class, they're like, "You going to the Ganga? Going to the Ganga?" We call it Ganga. So everybody's like, "Yeah, we're going to see." So this is when Lord Chaitanya was a little older. Maybe he was 10 years old or something. So then he would go by himself and he'd go take a swim. Okay. I was just thinking, just when we read the previous verse, that it's just so funny how exactly what Krishna's Kaviraj said, that sometimes he manifests his powers and sometimes he hid them. So
Yeah.
like his mother fainted and he's sitting there crying, feeling helpless and distressed, right? But then they asked him to get the coconuts and he just manifests the coconuts. So if he can manifest coconuts, why can't he just bring his mother to consciousness again? He can just be like, poof, there she is, open the eyes. But he doesn't, right? He hides his powers.
Like in Chaitanya Bhagavat, it says he used to bring the gold coins.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what he's doing is like in certain situations where he's increasing the loving relationship, right? Whenever interacting with, then basically the reason why he's either hiding or exhibiting his powers is to increase the love. Right? So in this case, if he had just brought his mother back to consciousness, then it wouldn't have been such a sweet, loving pastime, right? Like the ladies wouldn't have been able to come and give him some guidance. But as far as coconuts, like if he had to walk all the way to the marketplace or climb, like shake a tree, it would have just get the coconuts, Okay, so text 49. Ganga snana kari puja kari te lagila kanyagana madhe prabhu asiya basila.
Girls engaged in worshiping the different demigods after bathing in the Ganges. The young Lord would come there and sit down among them.
So this is going to be trouble. Ganyare
Kare
Kare
ama puja ami divavara. Ganga Durga Dasi Mora Mahesha Kinkara. Addressing the girls, the Lord would say, "Worship me, and I shall give you good husbands or good benedictions. The Ganges and Goddess Durga are my maid servants. What to speak of other demigods? Even Lord Shiva is my servant." Report. There is a misconception about the Hindu religion among people who profess other religions, such as Christians and Muslims, who say that in the Hindu religion there are many gods. Actually, that is not a fact. God is one, but there are many other powerful living entities who are in the charge of different departments of administration. They are called demigods. All the demigods are servants who carry out the orders of the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disclosed this fact in his childhood. Out of ignorance, sometimes people worship the demigods to receive some particular boon, but actually, one who becomes a devotee and worshipper of the Supreme benediction, he obtains everything by the grace of the Supreme Lord. The Bhagavad Gita 7:20-28 therefore condemns such demigod worship. Only persons whose intelligence is lost and who are mad with lusty desires worship the demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. But persons who are freed from all sinful activities and of God with determination. Only the less intelligent person worship the demigods for their various purposes. The most intelligent worship only the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Sometimes we, the members of the Krishna consciousness movement, are accused of not approving of the worship of demigods. But how can we approve of this when it is condemned by Lord Chaitanya and Lord Krishna? How can we allow people to become foolish and Rita Jnana, bereft of intelligence? Our propaganda is simply meant to enable intelligent people to understand the distinction between matter and spirit and understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the whole spiritual identity. That is our mission. How could we mislead people into worshipping so called gods in material bodies within this material world? Our position is not allowing worship of the many hundreds of demigods was confirmed by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu even in his childhood. Sri Narottam Das Thakur has sung in this connection Anya devar shaya nai tomare kahinu by a bhakti parama karana. To become a staunch, pure devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead without deviation, one should not divert his attention to the worship of the demigods. Such control is a symptom of pure devotional service.
So this is something that's in India, among Hindus in India. And it's very common that people worship a lot of different demigods, and they worship different demigods for different purposes, right? And they worship Lord Shiva to get a good husband. They worship Durga Devi to get material opulence. They worship Lakshmi to get like material opulence. They worship Durga for what?
Durga for Durga for Huh? Yeah. Durga gives the good wife, right?
Good wife. Oh, the men worship Durga for
Durga
good
for
wife,
good
and the
wife.
women worship Lord Shiva for
For a
good
good
husband.
husband.
And they worship Lakshmi for she's the goddess of fortune, so they worship Lakshmi
Money.
for money. They
Yeah.
worship Saraswati for learning,
Knowledge.
for good at to be able to pass your exams, basically.
Yeah.
Education.
Yeah.
Ganesha for obstacles.
Removing
like
obstacles. If you're going on a trip, there's like
Yeah.
Ganesha on the dashboard of the car. So there's all these different demigods who are in charge of like different departments, but they're not God. They're like demi means like semi, like partly. So they have powers that are more than our powers, but they're still they're in the same category as us, the Jiva Tattva category, and they're souls inside material bodies who are in the material world, and they also have their karma and all that. Yeah, Tali.
So if it's saying not to worship demigods, I do see like people do have like Ganesha on their altars and stuff, and also I'm curious because I know we go to the temple and we have Radharani and like Jagannath and even like Prabhupada.
Yeah.
So why do we still worship, even like the closest planet, why do we worship them? Saying,
Yeah. Well, none of those are demigods. So there's Krishna, and then Krishna appears in different forms that are like expansions of his own form. So Jagannath is also Krishna. And then, we're hearing about Lord Chaitanya, and Gornitai are also Krishna, and Radharani is Krishna's consort. So yeah, and Lord Chaitanya, we'll get to that, but Lord Chaitanya, oh, we talked about that. Anyways, Lord Chaitanya taught us to worship the Lord as like the divine couple. So because Krishna is like the divine masculine, and then he expands himself into Srimati Radharani, who is the divine feminine, and she embodies all the, you know, feminine qualities like compassion and empathy and mercy and love. So service. So she's and she's a devotee of Krishna. And then that also like, and Prabhupada, he's not a demigod, he's a devotee. So the difference is that when we worship someone like Prabhupada, right? So during the Guru Puja, when we also offer flowers and pay prayers to Prabhupada, that's worshiping a devotee who's not God. But the only reason we're worshiping him is because he gave us knowledge of God, and he's helping us to come closer to God. Right? So the goal is always God. The goal is like we want to get closer to God. We want to become more pure servants of God, and Srila Prabhupada is showing us the way. Right? And actually, yeah, Krishna says that those who worship him alone and don't honor his devotees, that's not perfect worship. But perfect worship means to worship him together with his devotees, but with the purpose of pleasing him. But the problem with demigod worshippers is that they're not worshiping the demigod to please God or to come closer to God. They just want material things. So that's what's being referred to here, where he's saying this Bhagavad Gita verse, that people who are mad with material desires, they worship the demigods in order to get the material desires fulfilled. So, but even demigod worship, like if someone is worshiping Ganesh in order to remove the obstacles to spiritual advancement, to remove any obstacles that might be there, like internal obstacles in the heart, or even external obstacles in their service to Krishna or in their development of their loving relationship with Krishna, then that's okay. Or if you're worshiping Lord Shiva because he's a devotee of Krishna and he has knowledge of Krishna and he can also bless us with spiritual understanding, then that's okay. But it becomes problematic when people are just like kind of bypassing Krishna, ignoring Krishna, and worshiping demigods for material things. And so people do that because God doesn't necessarily always fulfill our material desires. So then they're like, okay, I'm totally obsessed with this material desire, and God might not give it to me because it might be bad for me, right? God's not going to give us something that's bad for us. But the demigods, if you worship them properly, they will. So that's what people do. So it's Prabhupada saying, Krishna says it's not very smart, because why would you want something that's bad for you, right? I always give the example of like, let's say there's a teenage boy, like this 18-year-old boy, he's living at home and he's like really depressed, and he's had some suicidal tendencies, and he's really like going through a lot of struggles and things. And anyways, but he's legally an adult, and maybe he goes online and he takes like a firearms identification test, and he gets his ID card, that like a gun license, and then maybe he's got a part-time gun store, and he shows that he's an adult. He shows his driving license, his ID, he shows his firearms identification card. He's got the money. What's the guy gonna do? He's gonna sell him a gun, right? So then, but then let's say he gets home and his mother's like, "What do you got there in the bag?" And then she manages to get it away from him, sees there's a gun in there. Then she's not going to be like, "All right, well, I guess you got the ID, and you got the money, and you got the thing, so you're free to make. You're an adult. You're free to make your own choices." She's not going to say that. She's going to be like, "What the hell are you doing?" She's going to take that away from him and lock it away, or put it at a friend's house, or take it straight back to the gun store and say, "How dare you sell this to my son? Give me a refund right now." Yeah. So why? Because she loves him. She actually cares about him. She's not just some So the demigods are kind of like, sometimes they're called cosmic bureaucrats. You know, that if you tick all of the boxes, they're actually obligated to give you the things that you worship them for. Whereas Krishna, he's not a bureaucrat. He's gonna, he is omniscient. He knows our whole story. He knows our whole situation, and he's gonna give us what we need. So he's gonna protect us from things that are dangerous if we actually approach him. If we don't approach him, if we bypass him, then he's like, okay, well then, you're at the mercy of the demigods. But if we approach him, then he's going to take care. So, it's wiser to approach Krishna and the good thing is that the powers that the demigods have to bestow material benediction to fulfill our desires, that power comes from Krishna. He's the source of all power. He's the source of all everything. So there's nothing that we may want or need that Krishna can't give us. No reason that we have to satisfy the demigods. And the other thing is that from the demigods' point of view, they're actually more happy when we worship Krishna. So that by worshiping Krishna, we please Krishna, we protect ourselves from doing anything stupid, and we also please the demigods in a way that's higher than we would if we would worship them directly. So it's like a win-win-win all around when we worship Krishna. So there's a verse in the Bhagavatam that says, Prabhupada would quote a lot. He said that it's like watering the root of the tree.
Yeah.
So if you have a tree and you think, oh, all the parts of the tree need water, so I'm gonna get my watering can and my hose and I'm gonna just like put water on all the leaves, all the twigs, all the branches, the trunk, everything. And so that doesn't work, right? Because leaves don't absorb water. The bark doesn't absorb water into the inner systems of the plant. It's only the roots that absorb water. So you can save yourself a lot of time and trouble by just going and pouring the whole bucket of water on the roots than trying to sprinkle it on every single individual leaf. And it actually fulfills the purpose. So that's a good comparison that we get from this scripture. Or another one he gives is supplying food to the stomach. So like the whole body needs nourishment, needs energy. But if you take some rice and dal or a sandwich or something, you just start squeezing it in your hand or smearing it all over your body or stuff shoving in your ear. Like you're not going to get nourished. You're not going to be energized, and you're just going to get dirty. You're just going to get messy, And you're still going to be hungry. But if you just take that food and put it in your stomach, put it in the mouth, one place, then it gets digested and assimilated and spread all throughout the body. So like that, if we just worship one person, we just worship the supreme person, God, then all the demigods are satisfied and everything is good. So Lord Chaitanya is teaching that. He's saying, what are you doing worshiping these demigods? Of course, he's God, so he's actually right saying, worship me. But the girls are like, who are you? All right, so we're in the middle of, but we're going to stop anyway. We'll find out what happens with the girls tomorrow. Same time, same place. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Shri Krishna Ki jai.